Good morning and welcome to the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. My name is Nirmit Glennon. I'm a product specialist at ManageEngine and I will be your trainer for today. I hope I'm audible and that you're able to view the presentation clearly. Please confirm by commenting on chat. Now that I've got a few confirmations, I will move along with the presentation. This two-week training program has been designed to help you better understand the features and benefits of Mobile Device Manager Plus. We are in week 1 of the training, and today we will be dealing with application management and device security. For more information on this training program, please access the link given below. If at any point during this training you have any queries regarding any of the features that are being discussed, feel free to post them on chat. We have a panel of experts on standby ready to answer all of your queries. So without any further ado, let's take a quick look at the agenda for today. We will be starting off with the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus, understanding the product architecture and its prerequisites. We will then move on to application management, where we will cover the entire app lifecycle management before moving on to the kiosk mode, where you will learn how you can log your corporate devices to specific apps. We will then move on to device security, where you will first explore features such as geo-tracking and remote troubleshooting your corporate devices. Next up is containerization, where you will learn how you can segregate the personal and corporate workspace on your end users' devices. After this comes OS update management, where you will learn how you can ensure that all the devices in your IT environment are running on the latest OS versions. After this, under content management, you will see how you can distribute business sensitive documents directly from your MDM server and onto your managed devices. You can also protect these business sensitive documents and ensure compliance. And finally, if in case one of your devices is misplaced or lost, we'll explore the features of MDM that helps you tackle such a scenario. We will then discuss a few scenarios that are commonly faced by organizations along with the solutions to it before ending this training session with a small Q&A segment. So let's kick things off with the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. Mobile Device Manager Plus offers support for phones and tablets across iOS, Android, and Windows operating systems. And in case of Windows operating systems, we also offer support for desktops, laptops, and Surface Pros. It is available as an add-on to the on-premises version of ManageEngine Desktop Central, which is a unified endpoint management solution from ManageEngine. It is also available as a standalone product, available both on-premises and on cloud. So here's your Mobile Device Manager Plus architecture. It has three major components: the server, the push notification services, and the devices that need to be managed. The server contacts the push notification services, which in turn wake up the devices. The devices then get in touch with the MDM server for further instructions. If in case you're worried about security and you do not wish to expose your MDM server to the internet, MDM provides you with an option wherein you can configure a secure gateway. This secure gateway will act as an intermediary between your MDM server and the internet. You needn't worry about this if you're using the cloud version of the product. As discussed earlier, there is a lot of communication that happens between the three major components in the MDMP architecture. Now, to facilitate secure and fast communication between all of these major components, here is a list of ports that need to be kept open at all times. For example, for secure communication between the device and the Mobile Device Manager Plus server, the inbound port 9383 needs to be opened. Now, it's important to note that some of these ports are applicable only for the on-premises version of the product. So how does MDM actually manage these devices? In case of iOS and Windows devices, MDM leverages the native client present on these devices to manage them effectively. And in the case of Android devices, you need to download an MEMDM app to ensure that your Android devices are managed properly. Now let's take a quick walkthrough of the MDM products UI. As you can see, we are currently in the Home tab. Over here, you'll get all the basic information such as the number of devices that have been enrolled, the number of inactive devices, and also the number of users that have been enrolled. You can also view the devices in your IT environment based on the device type and see whether these are smartphones, tablets, laptops, desktops, or other devices. You can also view them based on the platform type. Apart from this, you can also see whether these are devices owned by a corporate or whether they are personal devices owned by your end user. You also have a brief summary of all the whitelisted and blacklisted apps in your IT environment. Click on the Device Management tab, and here you will have features such as Profile Management, Application Management, Remote Control, Content Management, OS Update Management, and Conditional Exchange Access. Move over to the Inventory tab, and here you will have features such as geo-tracking and scheduling the device scan. Switch over to the Enrollment tab, and on your left, as you can see, you have a list of all the different types of enrollment methods supported by Mobile Device Manager Plus across iOS, Android, and Windows operating systems. Under the Reports tab, you will have a list of predefined reports segregated based on the application type, the hardware type, the enrollment type, and the security type. Apart from this, you also have the option to customize your own report. Under the Admin tab, you can configure all your basic settings such as your NAT, proxy, mail server, and DB settings. And finally, under the Support tab, you will find links to all the resources such as your knowledge base, FAQs, and how-tos, and also links to your community forums and blogs. Now let's move on to our next segment, which is going to be on application management. Over here, we will first see how you can install and manage business apps. Organizations across the globe are acknowledging the growing reliance on mobile apps by its employees in order to improve their own productivity. This puts the onus on the IT admins, wherein they need to ensure that the right apps are made available to the right devices while also ensuring that these apps are kept constantly updated. This can get a little tricky, especially in the case of large enterprises which deal with a multitude of apps and devices. So let's see how MDM simplifies app management for you. Application management in MDM is as simple as adding your apps to the MDM server's app repository, distributing these apps onto the managed devices, and having it installed on them. You can add both your store apps as well as your enterprise apps on your MDM server's app repository. Store apps are those apps which are available for public download on the respective stores, whereas enterprise apps are those in-house apps which are specific to your organization. Using the MDM server, you can distribute both these apps onto your managed devices. As far as the installation process is concerned, MDM server takes care of the installation of enterprise apps, and for store apps, the installation is carried out by the respective stores. Now let's see how you can add an app to the MDM server's app repository, have it distributed onto your managed devices, and also have it installed on them. Let's go back to the MDM server. Now click on the Device Management tab. Select App Repository. And as you can see over here, you'll have a list of all the apps that have already been added to your MDM server's app repository. To add a new app, click on the Add App option. And for this example, let's choose to add an App Store app. Now enter the name of the app that you want to add. As you can see, the MDM server is trying to reach out to the App Store to get the details regarding this particular app. In order to facilitate this communication, you need to ensure that the App Store is whitelisted on your corporate firewall. Now click on the Zoho Creator app and you'll notice that the bundle identifier and the Apple Store ID are automatically filled. If in case you're based out of the United States, or rather you're not based in the United States, you can choose to change a region by clicking on the Change Region option over here and selecting the region to which you belong to. Once you've configured all of this information, here are a couple of app policies that you need to pay close attention to. Now this app is going to be associated with a particular device. If in case you want to ensure that the app is automatically removed once the device gets unenrolled from the MDM server, kindly choose the option Remove App on MDM Profile Removal. Also, if you want to ensure that there is no backup of app data anywhere except on the device, select the option Restrict Backup for App Data in iTunes and iCloud. Apart from all of this, MDM provides you with an additional feature wherein you can manage the functionalities and capabilities of the app by uploading an XML configuration file over here. This is possible only if it has been provisioned by the app developer. Now click on Save, and the app will get automatically added to your MDM server's app repository. You can filter out all the apps. Now I'll be filtering out all the App Store apps, and you can see the Zoho Creator app that we just added. Now, in order to distribute this app to a particular device, click on the Groups and Devices option. Select the Devices tab. Now you can filter out the iOS devices in your IT environment based on the platform type over here. Select the device to which you want to distribute this particular app to. Click on the Actions drop-down and select the Distribute Apps option. Now, here you'll have a list of all the apps that are available for distribution to this particular device. If in case there are a lot of apps listed over here, you can search for the requisite app by using the search function given over here, or by using one of the filter options, wherein you can filter out the app based on the application type, the license type, or the category of the app. So you can choose whichever app you want to distribute to this particular device. Now let's assume I want to distribute Zoho Survey. So I'll select the particular app and move over to the distribution option. Since this is a manual app installation process, you need to choose the option Add to Device App Catalog. You also have another option, Install App Automatically. This is something which I'll be covering later on in this webinar. Now click on Select. Now, if you want to know whether this app has been successfully associated with the device, all you need to do is click on the device and select the Apps tab. As you can see, you have a list of all the apps that have been associated with the device, and you can find its execution status over here. So let's see what happens on the end user's device once the app is distributed. So now once the app is distributed, the end user will have to open the MDM app on his or her device and click on the app catalog. Here, under the Yet to Install tab, they will find a list of all the apps that have been distributed to their device and are yet to be installed. Click on the Install button, and the end users will be asked to authenticate themselves using their iTunes credentials. Upon successful authentication, the installation process begins and the app gets installed successfully. Once the app is installed successfully, it will move from under the Yet to Install tab of the app catalog to the Install tab. So this was the manual app installation process. In this installation process, every device must be provisioned with an iTunes account, and also every single time you want to install an app on an end user's device, the user has to authenticate himself or herself using their iTunes credentials. Now, what if your end users are non-technical? This process can become a bit cumbersome for them. And also, what if you need to distribute apps to multiple devices at the same time? You can tackle all of these scenarios by using the automatic app installation process provided by MDM. In case of iOS devices, you can opt for the volume purchase program, and in case of Android devices, you can opt for the Play for Work option. Now, it's important to note that both of these options are free of cost. So what are the benefits of configuring VPP or Play for Work? You can build your own enterprise app repository, which consists only of your IT approved apps, which obviously includes both your store apps as well as your in-house apps. Apart from this, you can also restrict users from installing any other apps from the store. Now let's take a closer look at the Apple Volume Purchase Program. With the help of the iOS Volume Purchase Program, you can now whitelist and approve only those apps that are required by your organization. Also, you can manage these apps with licenses that can be applied to devices and revoked as per your requirement. And as discussed earlier, you also have the option to control your app updates. Now, before you go ahead and set up the VPP program, here are a few prerequisites that need to be met. First, you need to create an account with Apple VPP, and also you need to ensure that the devices are supervised. In order to ensure this, these devices must be enrolled using either the Apple Configurator method or the Apple DEP method. Now, these methods will be covered in the next training session, which happens next week. So kindly tune in for that. Now, here's how Volume Purchase Program works. First, you need to integrate the VPP portal with your MDM server. Next, you need to purchase and approve apps on the VPP portal, and then have these apps distributed to the devices. Once all of these actions have been performed by the admin, the apps get installed silently on the devices. Now, the first step is to log into your VPP portal. Once you do that, you'll have an option wherein you can either choose to purchase app for education purposes or for business purposes. For this example, I'll be choosing to go with the business purpose option. You also need to click on account summary once you log in. Here, you will need to download a VPP token which needs to be uploaded onto the MDM server. Now let's go back to the MDM server and I'll show you where you need to upload this token. So click on the device management tab and select the app repository option. Click on iOS VPP distribution. As you can see, I've already configured the VPP portal over here. So for your benefit, I'll show you how it can be done on another server. So once you click on iOS VPP distribution, you need to click on the configure now option. Next, click on the upload the VPP token option over here. Upload the token that you just downloaded. So I'll go to downloads, upload the token over here. Now you need to ensure that the app installation type is selected as without Apple ID. It is only when it is selected as without Apple ID will the apps get installed silently on the end user's devices without any need for the end user to intervene. It's important to note that this VPP token is valid only for 1 year, after which it expires. Now to ensure the timely renewal of the VPP token, kindly provide the email ID of the person who is in charge of the renewal process. Once you've configured all of this information, you can go ahead and click on save. So I'll show you how it looks after the VPP is set up. So as you can see over here, the VPP portal is now set up with your MDM server. The next step is to go ahead and start purchasing apps on your VPP portal. So go back to your VPP portal and click on the search tab. Now enter the name of the app that you want to purchase, which in this case is going to be Zoho CRM, and click on search. From the search listings given below, select the Zoho CRM app. Now before you go ahead and purchase this particular app, you need to ensure that it is marked as device assignable. To do that, scroll down, and here, as you can see, you have the option called device assignable. This is important to ensure the silent installation of apps on end users' devices and also to control the app updates. Once you've confirmed this, scroll back up and specify the number of licenses that you want to purchase for this particular app. Click on Review Order and select Place Order. As you can see, your order is now complete. So MDM server automatically syncs with your VPP portal once every 24 hours. And when this happens, all the apps that have been purchased on the VPP portal will get automatically reflected on your MDM server's app repository. Suppose if you want to ensure that these apps are reflected immediately, you need to manually sync your MDM server with the VPP portal. To do that, go back to your MDM server and click on App Repository under Device Management. Now, select Sync Apps dropdown and click on the option Sync VPP Apps. As you can see, the MDM server is now being manually synced with your VPP portal. And once the sync is complete, you will find a list of all the apps that you purchase on the VPP portal under the app repository. So click on Apps and filter out all the App Store apps. As you can see, you have the Zoho CRM app over here. Select the app and you'll get information regarding the number of licenses that have been purchased and the number of licenses that have already been distributed to the devices. Now, if in case you want to distribute this app to multiple devices, go to the Groups and Devices option. Now, before you distribute it to multiple devices, it's highly recommended that you test out the functionality of the app on a single device. If in case you are satisfied with it, then you can go ahead and distribute it to multiple devices in your organization. So click on the Devices tab, filter out all the iOS devices in your IT environment, select all the iOS devices, click on the Actions dropdown, and select the Distribute Apps option. Now select whichever app you want to distribute to all of these devices. Now let's assume I want to distribute the Zoho Creator app, and under the distribution option, please be sure to select Install App Automatically. It's only when this option is selected will the app get silently installed on the end user's devices. Click on Select and the app gets automatically distributed to all the iOS devices in your IT environment. Now let's see what happens on the end user's device after the app has been distributed. As you can see, the app installation process begins automatically without any need for the end users to authenticate themselves using their iTunes credentials. So the app also gets installed successfully now. Here are a few recommendations as far as the app installation process is concerned. The device needs to be connected to the internet for the app distribution to work. If in case the device is offline, the app will get distributed once the device comes back online. Also, if in case you're distributing apps that are over 100 MB, you need to ensure that the device is connected to a Wi-Fi. Otherwise, this particular action will eat into your end user's data plan, which of course is not an ideal situation for you to be in. Now, how can you control app updates? I'm sure you're already aware that every app keeps getting frequent updates every now and then. Now, in some cases, what happens is that the latest version of the app might have a few bugs that might cause it to function in a way in which you hadn't originally intended it to. So, under normal circumstances, the App Store will automatically notify the device regarding any pending app updates. But now, with the help of the MDM server, you can control which version of the app needs to be present on your end user's devices. To do that, here are a few prerequisites that need to be met. First, the app should be purchased via the VPP portal, and also it should be marked as device assignable. What this does is that it ensures that the App Store can no longer contact the device regarding any pending updates. Hence, the onus falls on the admin to enforce critical app updates. Now let me show you how this works on the MDM server. Go back to the MDM server and under Device Management, click on App Repository. So the MDM server regularly contacts the respective app stores to check for any updates available for any of the apps in the app repository. If in case there are updates available, you'll get a notification as seen over here. So click on the notification and you'll have a list of all the apps that have updates available. So click on a particular app. Now, as you can see over here, this particular update is yet to be distributed to 4 devices. However, before you update this app on all of the devices, it's highly recommended that you test out this latest version of the app on a single device. And if in case you're satisfied with the functionality of the app, you can go ahead and distribute this app update to all the devices. Now, in order to distribute this update to all the devices, click on the Update All option. And under the Update option, select the Install Update Automatically option. This will ensure that the app updates are installed silently without any need for the end user to intervene. So select the Update App option, and as you can see, all the app updates are distributed to the devices. Now, so that was the automatic app installation for the iOS devices. Now, in case of Android devices, you have something called the Google Play for Work program. There are a few prerequisites for Play for Work as well. First, as always, you need to create an account with Google Play for Work. Next, you need to ensure that the device is running Android 5.0 or later OS versions. Here's how Play for Work functions. You need to integrate the Play for Work with your MDM server. Next, you need to purchase and approve apps on the Play for Work portal and then distribute these apps to the devices. Once all of these actions have been performed by the admin, the apps get installed silently on your devices. Now let's go back to the MDM server and see how you can set this up. Under Device Management, click on App Repository and select Android for Work. As you can see, I've already configured Android for Work with the MDM server. So for your benefit, I'll show you how this works on another server. So under App Repository, click on Android for Work. And as you can see over here, you have an option wherein you can either choose to register using your G Suite account or you can register using any Gmail account which is specific to your organization. For this example, I'll be choosing to register with a particular Gmail account. On clicking this, I'll be redirected to the Android for Work portal where you need to sign in using your Gmail account. Once you've signed in, you need to enter the organization name and ensure that the EMM provider is listed as ManageEngine EMM. Once you've accepted all the terms and conditions, click on Confirm and complete the registration. Once the registration is completed, I'll show you how the setup appears. As you can see over here, you have the domain name, the domain admin account, as well as the server account listed over here. The next step is for you to start purchasing apps on your Play for Work portal. So go back to your Play for Work portal And on the search option, enter the name of the app that you want to purchase, which in this case is again going to be Zoho CRM. So I'll select the app. Now from the search listings, click on the Zoho CRM app. You need to first approve this app, and here you'll have a list of permissions which you need to accept and approve on behalf of your organization. Now once you click on approve, you need to understand that as in the case of the iOS VPP program, the MDM server automatically syncs with your Play for Work portal once every 24 hours. And it is only then that all the apps that have been purchased on your Play for Work portal get automatically added to your MDM server's app repository. However, if you want to ensure that these apps are reflected immediately on your MDM server's app repository, you will have to do the manual sync option as explained earlier. To do that, click on the app repository option under device management, select the sync apps dropdown, and click on sync Play Store apps. As you can see now, the MDM server is getting manually synced with your Play for Work portal. And once the sync is complete, all the apps that have been purchased via the Play for Work portal gets added to your MDM server's app repository. Now filter out all the Play Store apps. And as you can see over here, you'll find the Zoho CRM app. Select the particular app and you will notice an additional tab called the Permissions tab. Click on that. Now here are a list of app permissions which you can configure from your end. To modify them, click on the Modify option, change the configuration as per your requirement, and click on Save. Once you do this, the user will have no option to modify any of these configurations. Now, if in case you want to distribute your Play Store apps to multiple devices, all you need to do is click on Groups and Devices. Now you can either distribute this app to multiple specific devices or to a specific department. Now if in case I want to distribute a Play Store app to, let's assume, the drivers department, all I need to do is select the drivers group, click on the Actions tab, and click on the Distribute Apps option. Now here are a list of apps that are available for distribution to this particular department. So I'll be clicking on the Zoho CRM option and ensure that the distribution option is selected as Install App automatically. Click on the Select option over here and the apps get automatically associated to all the devices that fall under the drivers department. Now let's see what happens on the device. As you can see, the end user will get a notification on his or her device stating that a work account has been added. Once this notification appears, the app installation process will be initiated and the app gets successfully installed as well. Now once the app is installed, click on the Zoho CRM app and move over to the App Permissions tab. As you can see over here, there is no option for the end user to make any sort of changes to any of the app permissions which were configured earlier. So what if you also have in-house apps? Do you still need a VPP or Play for Work account for silent installation? No, this is not needed. If in case you have in-house apps that you want to install and manage, there is no need for a VPP or a Play for Work account. Instead, here are a few prerequisites that need to be met. For iOS, the devices must be supervised. And for Android, the devices must either be Samsung devices or must be provisioned as a device owner. Now let me show you how you can start installing and managing enterprise app in your IT environment. So go back to your MDM server and under device management, click on the app repository option. Now to add an app, as always, click on the add app dropdown. And for this example, let's choose to add an Android enterprise app. The first thing you need to do over here is to upload a source APK file. So I'll be doing just that. So I'll be uploading the source APK file over here. And as you can see, as soon as the upload is completed, the bundle identifier and the app version get automatically filled. Now enter the name of the app, which in this case is going to be Z Delivery. Specify the category to which the app belongs to, and also the devices that support this particular app. Once you've configured all of this information, click on Save. So the app now gets added to the MDM server's app repository and can be viewed over here. So since this is an in-house app, if in case you want to update this app, all you need to do is select the particular app and under the Actions tab, click on the Modify App option. Now you need to remove the old source APK file and upload the latest version. I'll be doing that. As you can see, Once the upload is completed, the app version changes from 1.0 to 2.0. Now click on Save and the app gets automatically updated. Now you can go ahead and distribute these apps to multiple devices in the same manner as explained earlier. This brings us to our next section. How can you lock corporate devices to specific apps? Using the kiosk mode functionality of the Mobile Device Manager Plus product, you can now provision devices with either a single app or multiple apps. You can also configure the device settings to ensure that the end user does not have any option to modify them later on. So consider the following scenario where your organization has a logistics wing. The logistics wing has a supervisor who assigns trips using a single app. It also has multiple drivers that use two apps, one to know the trips assigned to them and another app for navigation. Let us see how you can tackle this scenario using the Mobile Device Manager Plus product. Go back to your MDM server and under Device Management, click on the Profiles option. Select the Create Profile drop-down, and for this example, let's choose to create an Android profile. Give a meaningful name for this profile. And click on Continue. As you can see on your left, these are a list of profiles that are supported by Mobile Device Manager Plus. Click on the Kiosk option. Now let's first see how you can create a kiosk profile for the supervisor's devices. Since the supervisors require just one app, select the single app option and enter the name of the app required by the supervisor, which in this case is going to be Z Delivery. Once you've done that, here is a list of device restrictions which you can configure from your end. You can either choose to allow or restrict access to Task Manager, status bar, and the volume, power, and back buttons. Once you've configured all of this information, you can go ahead and save this profile. But before you do that, let's also see how you can create a kiosk profile for the driver's devices. Since the drivers requires two apps, you need to select the multiple app option and enter the names of the apps required by the drivers. The drivers will also be requiring the Z Delivery app, and apart from this, they will also require the Google Maps app for navigation. Now, by default, the wallpaper displayed on the end user's device will be that of ManageEngine MDM, but you have an option wherein you can change this wallpaper by uploading a file over here. You can also either choose to allow or restrict the MeMDM app on the device, and apart from the usual device restrictions seen earlier, you have additional settings wherein you can either choose to allow or restrict access to Wi-Fi, flashlight, brightness, and screen rotation settings. Once you've configured all of this information, click on Save and publish this profile. This profile can now be distributed to any number of devices in your organization. However, as in the case of the app distribution process, it is recommended that you first try out this profile on a single device, and if you're satisfied with the functionality of this profile on that device, you can go ahead and distribute it to any number of devices that you want. To distribute this profile to a particular device, click on the Groups and Devices option, select the Devices tab. Now filter out the devices based on the platform type. So let's assume that I want to distribute this profile to Sean's device. All I need to do is select the device, and under the Actions tab, click on Associate Profile. Here, you'll notice a list of profiles that are available for distribution to this particular profile. All you need to do is select the profile and click on the Select option. Now, the kiosk mode is successfully associated with this particular device. Let's see what happens on the supervisor's and driver's device once the kiosk profile is associated with them. In case of the supervisor's device, the device is restricted just to the Z Delivery app, and the supervisor will have no option to navigate anywhere out of this particular app. And in the case of the driver's device will be now restricted to just the Z Delivery and the Google Maps app, and there will be no option for the drivers to navigate anywhere out of this. Now, what if the supervisor needs to know all the locations traversed by the driver over a period of time? With the help of MDM, you can now track the location of the devices that are present on the driver's vehicles. Now let me show you how you can set this up on the MDM server. Go back to your MDM server and click on the Inventory tab. Here you have the geo-tracking option. Select that. Now you can either track devices always or only when they are marked as lost. I'll show you how you can mark a device as lost later on in this training session. Apart from this, you can also choose to either track or rather geo-track all the devices in your organization or just specific groups. Now, since in this example, the supervisors need to track the location of only the driver's devices, click on the Selected Groups option, browse through the departments available, select the drivers group. So I've already selected this. So select the drivers group and click on the Select option. Now you can also configure the location history and choose the accuracy to which the location history needs to be mapped. For this example, I'll be choosing the 500-meter option. What this means is that every time that the device moves 500 meters, the location gets recorded. Now go ahead and save the changes. Now, if in case the supervisor needs to know all the locations traversed by a particular device over a period of time, click on the Devices option. Here, select the device that you want to track and click on the geo-tracking option. As you can see, MDM will fetch the last location of this particular device, and the same can also be viewed on a map over here. If in case you want to get the locations to which this particular device has traversed over a period of time, click on the location history option. And as you can see, the same can be viewed over here as well as on the map. So you can view this over multiple days if required. As you can see over here, you can view all the locations that have been traversed by this particular device. Now, what if there is an issue on the device and you need to fix it? Now, the issue could be something as simple as poor battery performance, but since your drivers are non-technical, this can become a complicated process for them. With the help of MDM's remote control feature, you can now troubleshoot the devices from the place that you're seated. To do that, go back to your MDM server, click on the Device Management tab, select the Remote Control option, and choose a device that you want to troubleshoot remotely and click on Remote Control. Now, as you can see, there is a pop-up that comes up, and now the MDM server will try to set up a remote session. As you can see, the remote session is now initiated. So Mobile Device Manager Plus leverages Zoho Assist in the backend to ensure that this particular remote session is established. Now, as you can see, MDM is trying to connect to the nearest gateway to ensure high quality video during the remote session. As you can see over here, you can view the device screen over here. Now, before you go ahead and start troubleshooting the device, you first need to ensure that the kiosk mode has been removed. The easiest way to do that is to use the chat commands. So click on the chat option over here and enter the chat command, exit kiosk. Now I'll be doing just that. Once you click on enter, the kiosk mode will now be lifted. As you can see, the kiosk mode has been lifted from the device. You can go ahead and do any sort of troubleshooting on this device now. And once the troubleshooting is completed, you can reapply the kiosk mode on the device by applying another chat command. So I'll be doing just that. Now, once you do this, the kiosk mode will get applied onto the device again. Now, as you can see over here, the kiosk mode has been reapplied. Now you can close or rather terminate the remote session. So let's move on to our next segment. How can you protect against data breaches and ensure compliance? Data breach can occur when corporate data gets transferred from one device to another, either through Wi-Fi, AirDrop, or Bluetooth. Data breach can also happen when the corporate data gets backed up to third-party cloud services such as Google Drive and Dropbox. Data breach can also occur when there is unauthorized data sharing between the personal unmanaged apps and the managed corporate apps. Now, the answer to all of this is, of course, containerization. Containerization is nothing but the segregation of personal and the corporate workspace on end users' devices. In case of Android devices, once you enroll an Android device into the MDM server, a corporate container is automatically created by default. As you can see over here, all the corporate apps are denoted by a small orange briefcase symbol. However, in case of iOS devices, Apple does not permit the creation of such a container. So what happens is, now when you try to access your corporate email attachment, which will have business sensitive data on your iOS device, you'll notice that you can open it using either your corporate apps as well as your personal apps. This again is a huge security risk and should not be allowed. But luckily, with the help of the MDM server, you can now restrict this. So go back to the MDM server and click on Device Management. Next, select Profiles. Click on the Create Profile option. And for this example, let's choose to create an iOS profile. As always, give a meaningful name and click on Continue. Now select Restrictions. Now under Device Functionality, you first need to restrict screenshots and screen recording. So I'll be doing that. Next, you can also restrict AirDrop. Now, move over to the Advanced Security tab, and over here, you can restrict USB connections. Click on Network and Roaming, and here you can restrict Bluetooth. Next, select iCloud, and here you can restrict the device backup, the syncing of data and documents of managed apps, and also the syncing of device data and documents in general. Apart from this, you can also choose to restrict the sharing of data between managed apps and unmanaged apps. To do that, click on the Security tab, and as you can see over here, you can choose to restrict this option. You also have the option to restrict the sharing of data from unmanaged apps to managed apps as well. So I'll be doing just that. Once you've configured all of this information, click on Save, publish this profile as always, and distribute it to any number of devices that you want. Now, once the policy is applied, as you can see over here in your iOS devices, your email attachments can only be accessed by your corporate apps. Your personal apps can have no control over any of your email attachments or your corporate data. Now let's move on to content management. Using the content management feature in Mobile Device Management Manager Plus, you can now seamlessly and securely distribute your corporate business sensitive documents to multiple devices under management. Also, if you use this particular option, the users can view and save the documents only using the MDM app present on their device. Apart from this, the corporate documents cannot be accessed by any third-party apps present on the device, and neither can it get backed up to third-party cloud services. Now consider the following scenario, where your sales team needs access to confidential documents prior to an important client meeting. Now let's see how you can help out your sales team in this particular scenario. So go back to Device Management on your MDM server and click on the Content Management option. As you can see, this is your content repository, which contains all the documents that have been previously added. In order to add a new document, all you need to do is click on the Add option over here. And before you go ahead and start adding document, here are some of the supported file formats. Please take a close look at this and also ensure that the maximum file size does not exceed 300 MB. Now to add an app, click over here. Select the documents that you want to add. So I'll be adding these two documents over here. As you can see, the documents are now being added to your MDM server's content repository. You can add a description for this particular document if you want, and also add relevant tags to group them according to their departments. So it was the sales department that requested for these documents. I'll be tagging the sales department over here, and once I click on Tag, both of these documents are now added onto your content repository. You can view all the files that have been added recently by clicking on the View Files option over here. Now, if in case you want to distribute this particular document, let's say the POC document, to your sales department, select the document and click on Share. Now, since it was a sales department that requested for this particular document, under Groups, click the sales department and choose Select. Now, the documents get successfully distributed to all the devices that fall under this particular department. Let's see what happens on the end user's device once a document is successfully distributed to it. As you can see, the end user will first have to open the MeMDM app on his or her device. Next, they need to click on the Documents tab. Here, they will find a list of all the documents that have been distributed to their device. In order to view any of these documents, they will first need to download the documents. Once a document is downloaded, it can also be viewed offline using the ME-MDM app. Now, there is no option for the end user to distribute or rather share this particular document to the personal apps to any other device or have it backed up to third-party cloud services. Now consider the following scenario. There are a few changes to the terms and conditions in the document that was just distributed. How do you update a document on the end user's device? Now let's assume that you've distributed this particular document to 10 or say 15 devices. It's impractical for an IT admin to go ahead and redistribute these documents on every single device. Now let's see how MDM simplifies this process for you. Go back to the MDM server and under device management, click on the content management option. Now, since it was this document that needed to be updated, select the document and under the action tab, click on modify. Now remove the old document and upload the latest version. So I'll be uploading the latest POC. Once this is done, click on modify and select OK. Now the document is not only updated on the content repository, it also gets automatically updated in all the devices that it was earlier distributed to, thus saving you a lot of time and effort. Now move on to the next section wherein we'll be discussing how you can automate OS updates. It's highly recommended that you ensure that all the devices in your organization are running on the latest OS versions. If in case you are running, or rather some of the devices are running on outdated OS versions, you will be missing out on some of the critical security patches. Consider the example of the recent Meltdown and Spectre vulnerabilities, which affected a lot of computers across the world. What a lot of people don't realize was that a specific set of iOS devices and Google, or rather Android devices were also affected. To tackle this scenario, both Apple and Google hastily came up with a few security patches in the latest OS version. Now, if in case your devices were not updated with the latest OS versions, they will still be vulnerable to these security vulnerabilities. Apart from this, the older OS versions tend to get slower with time. Now, if in case you are trying to update the OS in an ad hoc manner or go for simultaneous updates, there are obviously going to be a few pitfalls. Let's take a look at them now. If in case there are going to be ad hoc or simultaneous OS updates in your IT environment, it's going to lead to a loss of productivity, especially when it happens during business hours. Also, there will be certain enterprise apps that might not be compatible with the latest OS versions. So it's highly recommended that you test out the latest OS version on a single device, and if you're satisfied with the functionality, you can go ahead and distribute it to multiple devices. Also, if in case a huge number of users decide to have the OS updated at the same time, this will lead to bandwidth choking in your IT environment. Now, the solution to all of these is, of course, to schedule and automate OS updates. With the help of MDM server, you can now ensure that this is done. And there are a lot of advantages of doing this as well. This, of course, is a one-time setup. You also have options to deploy the OS updates either immediately or delay the deployment or have this deployed in a particular window. Also, you can ensure that the users get notified of any pending updates. Apart from this, if in case the users are working on some critical task, they can ensure that this particular update can be skipped for a later date. Now let's see how it can be set up on your MDM server. Go back to your MDM server and under device management, select automate OS updates. Now click on create policy. And for this example, let's choose to create an Android policy. As always, give a meaningful name. Now you can either choose to deploy the OS immediately if it is a critical update that needs to be applied, or you can choose to delay it by a few days. More importantly, you can notify users regarding this particular update, wherein you can choose to configure a message that needs to be displayed. Also, if in case your users are working on a critical task, you can ensure that your users can skip their deployment for the time being by clicking on this option over here. Now you can also ensure that once a user skips the deployment is forced after a specific number of days. As you can see, once you scroll down, you can also schedule the OS deployment based on your non-working hours, which is the best time to have this particular OS deployed. You can choose any of these days or in the weeks as well, and you can also choose the time at which the OS needs to be deployed. Once you've configured all of this information, click on Save. Now, in order to distribute this particular policy, select the policy, click on the Distribute Policy option, select the devices to which you want to distribute this policy to, and click on Select. As you can see, the policy is now successfully associated with the device. Now let's move on to our next section, wherein we'll see what happens once an employee either loses or misplaces his or her device. This is a huge security risk for your organization because the device will have a lot of business sensitive data on it. So let's see what are the features of MDM that help you in this particular scenario. So go back to the MDM server and click on the Inventory tab. Now under the Devices option, select the device that has been misplaced or lost. The first thing you need to do is to get the current location of the device. If in case the device is near your vicinity, then move over to the Actions tab and click on the Remote Alarm option. Once this is activated, the device will emit a loud ringtone irrespective of whether it is in the silent mode or not. This will help you identify your device much more faster. However, if in case the device is nowhere near your vicinity, you need to first restrict the device. To do that, click on the Enable Lost Mode option over here. As you can see, once you enable this option, the device will be restricted to just one particular screen where you can have a message displayed stating that this device has been lost and has to be returned back to its owner. This is especially useful when someone comes across to your or rather someone comes across your lost device and wants to return it back to your organization. You can also enter a particular contact number and program a calling option to contact just this particular number. Click on Next. Now for safety and security purposes, you can choose to reset the passcode as well. I'll be doing just that. Also, everything in your organization needs to be audited, right? So once the device has been reported as stolen, the ticket ID would be generated. Please mention the ticket ID over here and also the action that has been taken to rectify it. Now click on Locate, and once you do this, the lost mode will get automatically activated on the device. As you can see, this device is now marked as lost. Now let me show you what happens on the device once it gets marked as lost. As you can see, the device is restricted to just one screen with the following message displayed. Also, there is a calling functionality which is programmed to contact just this particular number. Now let's assume you're unable to find the device even after a few days. In such a case, you need to ensure that the corporate data present on this device is secure because this device is most definitely lost forever now. So go back to your MDM server. Now if in case this is a device owned by a corporate, you can click on the Erase Data option to ensure that the device gets completely erased and restored to factory settings. However, if this is a personal device owned by your end user, click on the Corporate Wipe option to ensure that only the corporate data present on your end user's device is wiped out. Now let's move on to our next section where we will be discussing a few scenarios commonly faced by organizations along with the solutions to it. So here's scenario 1. Is there a way by which I can remove apps previously available in the devices? These are the apps that were not installed using MDM. Yes, you can do that. So go back to your MDM server and under the Inventory tab, click on the Apps option. Now let's assume I want to blacklist certain Android apps. So I'll be filtering out the Android apps over here. As you can see, I've already restricted or rather blacklisted an app. If in case you want to go ahead and blacklist more apps, select the app that you want to blacklist and click on the option Mark as Blacklist. In case of Samsung devices, the app will get uninstalled and disabled immediately. And in case of other Android devices, the user will be notified asking him or her to uninstall the app. Now let's move on to the next scenario. My organization has provided full internet access and no restriction on any web resource to the employees. How can I restrict specific websites without affecting the usual internet activity? To do that, go back to your MDM server, click on the Device Management tab, and select the Profiles option. Now, for this example, let's choose to create an Android profile. Give a meaningful name as always and click on continue. Here, select web content filter. As you can see, click on the blacklist option over here and enter the URL that you want to blacklist, which in this case is going to be youtube.com. Apart from this, you also have an option wherein you can choose to whitelist a particular URL. Now what happens is that now since I've entered zoho.com, all other URLs except zoho.com will be blocked. Once you've configured all of this information, click on Save, Publish, and distribute this profile to multiple devices as explained earlier. Now, scenario 3. As my workforce is extensively mobile only, we want to secure devices using certificates. Can this be done using Mobile Device Manager Plus? Yes, this is possible. So go back to your MDM server, and for this example, I'll continue using the same profile that I've already created. Click on the certificate option. Click on select, and as you can see, I've already added a certificate. Now, if in case you want to add a new certificate, click on the add certificate option and upload the file over here. Once you're done with this, save, publish, and distribute the profile as explained earlier. In case of iOS and Windows devices, you also have something called as a simple certificate enrollment protocol, wherein you can secure each and every device with a unique certificate. Let's move on to scenario 4. I want to ensure all the network communication taking place on the device is routed through a secure proxy. Can this be done? Yes, this is now possible. So go back to your MDM server and let's continue using the same profile. Click on Global HTTP Proxy, and here you need to enter your proxy server details. Now you can see you have an additional option as well called bypass URLs. Once you specify certain URLs over here, these URLs can be exempted from being routed through this secure proxy server. Once you're done with all of the configurations, click on Save and publish the profile and distribute it to multiple devices. Let's move on to our next section where we will be discussing a few questions that were asked during the course of this training. One of our employees has forgotten his device passcode and is now unable to use the device. Can MDM help me with this? Yes, it can. Go back to your MDM server, click on the Inventory tab, and under the Devices option, select the device that has been, or rather select the particular user's device, click on the Actions tab, and select the Reset Passcode option. Now here, you can enter the new passcode that needs to be set on the device, and you can also ensure that this passcode is mailed to the particular user's email ID. The next question, we are a logistics company and we provide Android devices to our drivers for tracking purposes. Is there a way by which the users cannot disable the location services and it is always enabled? Yes, it is possible. Go back to your MDM server, click on the Device Management tab, and select Profiles. Now create an Android profile and select Continue after providing a meaningful name. Now select Restrictions, and over here click on Location Settings. As you can see, you can now ensure that the location services are always turned on, and once this profile is saved, published, and distributed to devices, the end users can never switch on the location services. Can never switch off the location services. The next question, does MDM let me share contact details, calendar events to iOS devices over the air? Yes, it does. To do that, you need to create an iOS profile under Device Management. I'll be doing just that. So create an iOS profile, give a meaningful name, and click on Continue. Now scroll down a bit, and you'll have an option called Contact Sync. Click on that, and over here, you need to enter your CardDAV account details. Once you do this, click on Save. Next, click on the Calendar Sync option, and over here, you need to enter your CalDAV account details. Again, once you're done with all of the configurations, as always, save, publish, and distribute the profile to multiple devices. The next question, I want to ensure the IT approved apps installed using MDM must not be removed by the users. Is this possible? Yes, it is. Again, let's go back to the MDM server and continue using the same profile. Now click on Restrictions and select the Applications option over here. As you can see, you have an option wherein you can choose to restrict the end users from deleting the apps that have been distributed through the MDM server. As always, Save, publish, and distribute the profile to multiple devices. Question number 5. I want to ensure employee devices are connected to only those secure Wi-Fi networks that have been distributed via MDM. Can this be achieved? Yes, it can. So I'll continue using the same profile. Now click on Network and Roaming under Restrictions, and over here you have an option wherein you can choose to restrict the devices from connecting to any other Wi-Fi except the Wi-Fi that has been distributed using the MDM server. But once this is done, you need to understand that once the device moves away from the vicinity of this particular Wi-Fi, it can no longer be managed by your MDM server because it can't get connected to any other Wi-Fi. As always, save, publish, and distribute this profile to any number of devices that you want. This brings us to the end of this training session. You will have a survey that pops up on your GoToWebinar panel. Please take the time to rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. Also, if you found this training useful, kindly spread the word about this training on the various social media platforms. If in case any of you are based out of the UK, we have an endpoint security and GDPR seminar which is coming your way on April 17 at London and on April 19 in Dublin. Please register for this using or rather accessing the link that will appear on your chat shortly. The next training is going to be on device enrollment and provisioning, and this is going to happen on March 29th at the same time. Thank you.